Happy New Year to all of you. Happy birthday to all the thoroughbreds. Let's get going on another episode of the Kentucky Derby Prep Briefing. Trust the Profits YouTube page. My name is Colin Sheehan. This is the Kentucky Derby Prep Briefing Show. A show meant to just get you up to date on what's happened this weekend in case you missed it on the trail to the Kentucky Derby. And the most important thing this weekend is that since it's New Year's Day, all of the once 2-year-olds have turned 3. That's right. In thoroughbred horse racing, every horse's birthday is January 1st. So 3-year-olds move to 4 and 2-year-olds move to 3. First of all, I want to just mention to you that the Trust the Profits YouTube team is hosting the Tour de Force. Again, this is season 5. It's $50 to enter. The sign-up link is in the description. And if you're excited about the Kentucky Derby this year, this is a great tournament to get involved in. We have weekly prizes. All the entry money goes into the prizes. We're not making any profit off of this. This is just to have fun for the Kentucky Derby Trail. You get a $100 mythical bet for every Kentucky Derby prep race. You can spend that $100 however you want, a box, a win, a place, a show bet, whatever it is. And for each event, whoever gets the highest money totaled, hopefully they have the winning bet, and we go by the pari-mutuel pool, you will win roughly $25 is what it's been for that one event. And then the grand prize overall winner, I believe, is over $1,000. So something that you certainly want to get involved in. Again, sign up in the description. It's a superb way to not only test your betting skills, also to follow the 2023 Kentucky Derby Trail. And with that said, we've had a very busy New Year's weekend as 2-year-olds turn 3, as I said. But before that happened on Saturday, we had Ken McPeek flex a little muscle, winning 4 2-year-old races. And the most impressive of those, I thought, was race 4 at Saturday at Oaklawn Park with a horse named Sun Thunder. I'm going to pause the video coming up here in a second, and you are going to see number 5, Sun Thunder, come into your screen. I'm going to put an arrow above him shortly. Sun Thunder was the even money favorite right here. Ready? He's going to have a green top. We're going to pause the video. There's the arrow. You watch this horse. Watch this move. This is unbelievable how quick he just passes the entire field. Comes 4 wide and puts this field to sleep. Extremely impressive. I immediately got a message from the Derby Path on Twitter saying, check out Sun Thunder. Sire by Into Mischief out of a Medaglia d'Oro dam. Finished 3rd in his first race to Determinedly at Churchill Downs. This race was over a mile as well, so it's even impressive that this was 2 turns. That's something that we always pay attention to. Horses going 2 turns, and we'll talk about that as we get to the Smarty Jones. The second race that I circled was race 6, and this was Two Eagles River, who has the number 4 there, had a really rough start. Two Eagles River finished 2nd to Victory Formation at Churchill Downs in a great duel. Two Eagles River missed this break. The winner was Frosted Departure, who was another horse for Ken McPeek, who was 10th in the Breeders' Futurity. And I'm really considering that Breeders' Futurity a key race. Frosted Departure actually lost to 2 Phils and Powerful next, who both won next out after that Breeders' Cup Futurity race. So any horse coming back from that Breeders' Cup, I'm sorry, not Breeders' Cup, it's just Breeders' Futurity race, the one with Forte and Loggins when they had an excellent stretch duel. Every horse out of that race has come back to run really well. And also the number 1 in this race, his name was Bourbon Bash. He finished 3rd in this race, and he was also out of that Breeders' Futurity. A nice battle here by Two Eagles River and Frosted Departure. So even though you had that rough start for Two Eagles River, a grace grinding finish there. Frosted Departure out of the Ken McPeek barn gets to the finish line first, though. We turn to Sunday, and the horses turned 3, as I mentioned. So this was the first 3-year-old Derby prep, and that is the Smarty Jones. It was again happening at Oaklawn. You had 2 Steve Asmussens, 2 Kenny McPeaks, and 2 Brad Coxes entered into the Smarty Jones, including Victory Formation, who went off the 3-5 favorite. And the question on Victory Formation is always, as you're seeing these 3-year-olds for the first time try 2 turns, was how would he make out with the distance? And Flavien Prat put Victory Formation right on the lead. Victory Formation was number 8, broke right out of the gate and got right to the front. And you'll see him basically just go wire to wire pretty comfortably here. And the question of him handling 2 turns is not really a question anymore. His first 2 wins were at 6 furlongs and 6.5 furlongs. If you follow Winning Angle on Twitter, someone that I certainly do, he has a futures bet on Victory Formation. So that will tell you right there, possibly the interest in Victory Formation. He's someone that I respect very dearly. And if he's got a future bet on Victory Formation, then I immediately have my eyes on Victory Formation out of the Brad Cox barn. Brad Cox wasn't done in this race. He also had Angel of Empire finish second in this race. So it's a Brad Cox exacta. Angel of Empire had 2 wins at a mile over the dirt in Indiana. And you just have to basically respect every single 3-year-old now that Brad Cox is putting out there, thanks to the Derby Path as well. We talked about Brad Cox is hitting at 25% first time out. With 2-year-olds, obviously they're now 3-year-olds. Number 6 in this race, Dennington, is another Ken McPeak horse who closed really well for 3rd, earning 3 points for the Derby. He had 1 point from his 5th place finish in the Kentucky Jockey Club. So Dennington was a horse that I had because he had a lot of trouble in his last race, and was someone that, if you watched me and El Hombre's preview of the Smarty Jones, was someone that I was high on. I actually keyed him on top in my exacta bet with Communication Memo. Communication Memo seemed to have maybe a little bit trouble to start, but didn't show up at all. For me, it was all Victory Formation. Speaking of that Brad Cox barn, let's take a look at some of these promising 3-year-olds that he has. And it's a very impressive list. Instant Coffee obviously won the Kentucky Jockey Club. Victory Formation, who we just talked about. Corona Bolt, who we talked about last week, who is kind of that next horse we'll be looking to see try 2 turns, is 2 for 2, both at 6 furlongs. Hit Show came back with a win and an optional claimer recently. Verifying we haven't seen in a little bit. He was 2nd in the Champagne Stakes. Jace's Road obviously won the Gunrunner Stakes. Giant Mischief, who had that stumble at the start in the Springboard Mile, couldn't catch Wild Atlantic Storm, is another big one. And of course, on the bottom, who for me should be on the top, is Loggins. I've talked about Loggins a lot. I've talked about how key that Breeders' Futurity race was against Forte. Really pumped and excited to see Loggins. He hasn't been training. Hope all is well. Probably just waiting for next year. I hope and assume Loggins is one that I certainly have on my radar. So what's happening next? Up next this weekend is the Jerome Stakes at Aqueduct and the Sham at Santa Anita. Basically the last 2 races before the points bump up to 28, 6, 4, and 2. As you can see, these 2 races, the winners will get 10 points. Then the stakes get a little bit higher as you enter the Lecomte at the Fairgrounds on January 21st. As I said, the Lecomte is the first race in the Tour de Force, so please be sure to sign up soon. I like to take a little look at, these, you can kind of consider the areas of the country as little series. So the Aqueduct Series, we've already had 2 races, which was the Champagne and the Remsen, won by Blazing Sevens and W. Nell. Arctic Arrogance was obviously in that Remsen, and Andiamo a Firenze in the Champagne. We'll mention those in a second regarding the entries into the Jerome Stakes. But there's what you have coming up at Aqueduct. After the Jerome, you got the Withers, Gotham, onto the Wood Memorial. Here's some probables thanks to HorseRacingNation.com. Arctic Arrogance is on that list. He's already run 4 times, and what I read was that Linda Rice has him pointed towards the Withers. Neural Network is a Chad Brown barn. He broke out of the Chad Brown barn. He broke his maiden first out at Aqueduct in November. Here's the Santa Anita series. Next up is the Sham. We had the American Pharaoh, which Cave Rock won. I've seen National Treasure on the list as being nominated to run in the Sham. He was third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, having a meltdown in Newgate were the 1-2 finishers in the Bob Hope. All horses that we're expecting to see out of the Bob Baffert barn, but remember, Bob Baffert horses are still not eligible for points this year, as his horses are not eligible to run in the Kentucky Derby for one more year. But that could be another Bob Baffert heavy field in the Sham Stakes at Santa Anita. That's it for this edition of the Kentucky Derby Prep Briefing. Please like and subscribe. It does so much for the channel. You don't want to miss the updates for the Kentucky Derby Trail. It's really going to be heating up. We're going to start bringing in guests who are going to touch upon what they are seeing. I've been here since this is episode 10 or 11, I believe. I've been here 11 weeks now. So I've been with you since the very beginning of the Kentucky Derby Prep races. Don't go anywhere else. Nice, quick segment to keep you up to date and keep you smart. Everybody have a great and happy new year.